As I always do. What it do, what it do. Happy new month. Happy new month. As you come on this live, please share this live. We're gonna get it in today real quick. New month. So let's get it in. You already know what I'm gonna be talking about today. So as you come into this live, please share this live. Happy new month. Happy new month to all my African brothers and sisters, my Biafran brothers and sisters worldwide. Happy new month. Happy new month. Let me set this up real quick, y'all, and we're going to get it in real quick. I ain't going to hold y'all up too long, but we're going to get it in. We're going to talk about, you know what today is. I really don't want to speak on that, but we know what today is. So, as I always do, I'm going to take this day and use this day as an educational, tool to teach, the African brothers and sisters worldwide some real truth about colonialism of Africa. You feel me? And I think today is the perfect day to really speak on that topic and to use this country as an example, if you want to call it a country. Like the topic of this live, which is Nigeria, the example of what went wrong with Africa. You feel me? Is a good topic to discuss today, being that today is the so-called independence of Nigeria, which we all know, the brothers and sisters who in their right mind, who's totally conscious that, that wasn't truly independence. What Britain gave Nigeria on this day, and all the brothers and sisters who chose to go to that side and chose to, become a part of Nigeria. And, for our brothers and sisters from other ethnic groups and tribes and in the so-called country Nigeria who was forced to be Nigerian citizens. And this is a thing. This is why, I'm really that's why I like the name. That's why I really like the name of this live that I'm doing, is the fact that Nigeria is the example of what went wrong with Africa. But Nigeria ain't the only country that is the example of what went wrong with Africa. But it's definitely a great country to use as an example because of what's going on today in Nigeria. It's a total example, and other, African countries also. And what I'm talking about, let me stay on what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, did African countries truly gain independence? Did most African countries, we all know it's 50-something countries in Africa. A lot of, during the 50s and the 60s, right? I'm going to lead up to why we talking about Nigeria today. I might even bring some of my Biafrans in this live, if they send me a live request so they can speak on behalf on, it's just like what black people go through in America. You feel me? But it's just a different, material realm of the struggle. Like, it's just like how new Africans, black people in America was forced to become American citizens. It's the same thing that happened in Nigeria. A lot of ethnic groups were forced to become Nigerian citizens. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to these days like independence, holidays, like certain things that aligns with the white colonial supremacist power structures of these countries, you see what I'm saying? It's like, why do we celebrate basically our own recolonization or our re-enslavement? You feel me? Because we all know what we was given, even as blacks in America, what we was given is not true independence. It's not true freedom. You feel me? So just like me, just like the Biafrans doing today, a lot of Biafrans do not celebrate Nigerian independence, as you shouldn't. You shouldn't celebrate something that's a false reality. You feel me? That's not truth. You feel me? You're not truly free. You wasn't truly given independence. Well, you was given independence, but you didn't liberate yourselves truly. You see what I'm saying? Because what the Europeans like Britain, America, all these European colonial powers that gave these African countries independence, they didn't necessarily free themselves totally. You see what I'm saying? Just like us here in America, new Africans the true conscious New Africans, citizens of the Republic of New Africa and the Africans in America, we don't celebrate July 4th. You feel me? We don't celebrate the independence of the United States of America because we know when the United States of America gained independence, us as Africans, New Africans in America, we wasn't given independence. They wasn't fighting for us to be free. Because you got to understand, we were still slaves. The Africans, the New Africans, the blacks here that were brought from Africa, that was enslaved on these plantations in the year of July 4th, 1776, when America gained independence, us blacks in America didn't gain independence because we were still slaves. You see what I'm saying? And I want a lot of Biafrans, you know, that might not know that history of what your brothers and sisters in America went through when we so-called, when the United States of America so-called got independence. We went through the same thing you went through. We wasn't given independence because we were still slaves. My ancestors were still on the plantations in the United States of America being slaves by you know what I'm saying, the struggle between the English people who wanted to separate from Britain. But you got to understand this, and this is the key thing we got to understand, is that all this is Britain dictatorship. This is Britain white supremacy. This is English white supremacy. So when I'm trying to explain this to my brothers and sisters across the world, African brothers and sisters across the world, is that black people in America not free either, is that we're still being governed by the same people who created Nigeria. You got to understand, the people that fought the Revolutionary War were former Britain or former British people who didn't want to be no longer, you know what I'm saying, under the rule of Britain. This is how America came into existence, is that you had inner circles of British colonial settlers who started to turn against each other. You see what I'm saying? And they fought the Revolutionary War, which became the Americans versus the British. But you got to understand, the British still control America too. This is the thing y'all don't get. This is the thing a lot of people don't get. British and Britain is still the mother of America. So everything still goes through Britain. Everything. Because if you was to come to America, right? If you was to come to Virginia, and I'm going to get into my topic in a second. I'm just lining this all up. But if my African brothers and sisters all across the world, Biafrans included, if you was to come to America and come to Virginia where I live at, you would still see the remnants of the British Empire, because we got counties, cities, everything named after the British royal family. You know what I'm saying? Like everything in Virginia. Virginia is named after a British queen. This is where the name Virginia comes from, where I live at in the United States of America. It's named after the Queen of England, of Britain, Virginia. And if you was to go to Canada, Canada is another example. If you was to travel to Canada, every state or city in Canada is still named after the British royal family. So this is why we must come together. New Africans, Africans, and Biafrans, and all freedom-loving people, is the fact that British domination, British elitism is still controlling and still having black people across the globe still under colonialism. So we're still suffering the same thing. We're just being governed by different people. But they all come under that line of the British royal family, which we know is the worstest family on earth. The British family is the most evilest people on earth. Period. That's just facts. They gain all their wealth, all their riches by enslaving African people and invading Africa and colonizing Africa, specifically creating Nigeria. You see what I'm saying? And Nigeria is the example, because Nigeria is basically the richest country on the, in Africa. But guess what? Nigeria is, as far as their citizens and the people who don't claim their citizenship, all these ethnic groups that live in Nigeria, they are not living like what this country so-called reflects to the world. Nigeria has some of the most poorest places on earth. You see what I'm saying? Some of the most poorest conditions on earth taking place in Nigeria right now. It's just like how they don't show you what's going on here in America with black people. We have some of the most poorest conditions. We have some of the most poorest communities in North America, but they don't show that on the news. You don't see that. It's not flashed on the news cameras. It's not flashed through European media because we know European media is controlled by the global elitists and the CIA. So you're not going to see the impoverishment of black people in America because they're not going to show it to you. Just like the European and the CIA control the media globally, you're not going to see the poverty inside Nigeria. So when you're black in America and you're looking over there towards Nigeria and you see these great brothers and sisters who are trying to get freedom and they're telling you what they're going through, but you're not believing it, you feel me? It's because you don't see it. You just go to the good parts of Nigeria. See, this is the thing that's wrong with black people in America. When you go to Nigeria, and trust me, a lot of black people in America, the people we identify with the most, the country that we identify with the most in Africa, and the culture that we have took on is our brothers and sisters in Nigeria. This is a fact. Because when you come to America, the brothers and sisters here identify with two groups the most in Africa. Who are the two groups that black Americans identify with the most in Africa? Yoruba people and Igbo people. Because when you come to America, you will see how many blacks in America have changed their names. You see what I'm saying? You will see how many blacks have changed their name to Yoruba names and to Igbo names here in America, trying to re-identify with our brothers and sisters on the continent. If you come here, you see what I'm saying? But the only thing I don't like about my brothers and sisters in America is that when they go to Nigeria, they don't go to the impoverished condition areas of Nigeria. They go to the lavish areas of Nigeria and get brainwashed by the power structure and these so-called bourgeoisie blacks of Nigeria who lie for the white man and who covers for the white man and who covers up the horrific conditions in Nigeria. I don't like that. Like if I go to Nigeria today, let me tell you something. If I go to Nigeria today, I'm going straight to Biafra land. I'm going straight to the most impoverished areas in Nigeria. I don't want to go to the rich parts of Nigeria because I don't want to get brainwashed. I don't want to see the false reality of what's being perpetuated across the globe. I'm not going to the good parts of Nigeria. No, take me to the ghetto. Take me to the most impoverished area in Nigeria to be with my people. I want to be amongst the impoverished people. I don't want to be amongst the false bougie blacks of Nigeria. I don't want to meet no black bougie blacks of Nigeria because they're living in a false reality while their brothers and sisters are being massacred, genocided by the power structure, buppies and puppets like the Fulani and all these, brainwashed religious, you know what I'm saying, so-called that identify with being Nigerian is murdering all the righteous brothers and sisters in Nigeria. And the Nigerian government got these brothers and sisters living in poverty. There's no way with the wealth that Nigeria has that these brothers and sisters should be living this way in other parts of Nigeria, mainly southeast Nigeria. They shouldn't be living that way, man. It's ridiculous. Some of the things I'm being shown and seen on social media and the media news that's showing us the truth on what's going on in Nigeria. It's horrific. These brothers and sisters should not be living like that when this country is the richest country in Africa, besides South Africa and besides the Congo. You see what I'm saying? There's no way it should be. It's no way these people should be. My brothers and sisters in Nigeria shouldn't be living like that, man. And every time I see, like, trust me, all my brothers and sisters in Biafra that be sending me these videos in my inbox and showing me what's going on in Nigeria, trust me, I watch every last one of them. If I may not respond to y'all, because I'm getting so many messages and I'm getting so much information. I'm getting so much, videos to watch to show me what's going on there. Trust me, I watch every last one of them. And the things that I see going on over there is a backwards, abnormal, horrific culture that's being perpetuated by the Nigerian government. They're letting other ethnic groups murder Igbo people. They're letting other ethnic groups genocide Igbo people, man. But you got brothers and sisters all across the world, entertainers, millionaires, fake politicians who believe that none of these things are going on. It's like an illusion to them. You see what I'm saying? They perpetuate this illusion to other blacks across the world that these things ain't going on. You feel me? Like, it's horrific, man, the things that I be seeing over there. And especially with the xenophobia thing. You feel me? But let me get to the point why I'm making this video, man. You know what I'm saying? Zoo Colonialism 101. Zoo Colonialism 101. This is the #1 thing that people should to educate yourselves. I'm speaking specifically to my brothers and sisters across the globe in the African diaspora. This is a teaching moment. You see what I'm saying? This is a teaching moment about so-called Nigerian independence. And why do I say so-called? And why do I say most of these African countries, did they truly gain independence? This is something you must understand. And I'm going to use this as an example. Nnamdi Azikiwe. If you don't know who Nnamdi Azikiwe is, do your research. Look up the name Nnamdi Azikiwe. And why I'm using Nnamdi Azikiwe. This brother, and I know a lot of Biafrans don't like Nnamdi Azikiwe. But for the sake of a teaching moment, and somebody like me who studies great African leaders, let me just use this as a teaching moment. Nnamdi Azikiwe. I love the brother. I love Nnamdi Azikiwe. I loved him. I studied everything that he did during his time he was alive. I love the brother. The brother is the Igbo brother, Nnamdi Azikiwe. And some would say the only Igbo who was president of Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? That's what some say. Some people say, some don't agree with that. But why I'm using Nnamdi Azikiwe? Nnamdi Azikiwe. Oh, man, it's just a real tough vibe because Nnamdi Azikiwe, man, him and Kwame Nkrumah were like this. And we know Kwame Nkrumah is arguably the greatest Pan-African leader to come out of Africa. And these two brothers, man, at one point in time were the greatest examples of Pan-Africanness, if I can put it to you like this. But Nnamdi Azikiwe, I like to use this about the brother. I don't really want to bash the brother, but the brother made a big mistake. He made a big, big mistake because he fell for the biggest trick. And one of the biggest tricks that all African leaders fall for is the false illusion of gaining independence for their people. Let me say that again. Nnamdi Azikiwe fell for the biggest illusion and strategy that's taking place among African leaders today. Is he fell for the fact that he thought that he gained independence for the ethnic groups of Nigeria. He thought he freed African brothers and sisters of Nigeria by accepting, because this is what Nnamdi Azikiwe did. He accepted British giving them a false country, a pseudo country, a settler government. You see what I'm saying? This is what Nnamdi Azikiwe fell for. He was given a false neo-colonial settler government that was still in control by the British Empire. And this is what this is what you must understand, African people. Yes, out of those 50-something countries in Africa, yes, they have gained independence, but it was given to them. You see what I'm saying? Except for the few who did actually liberate themselves. But you know what happened to those leaders later. Like some more, Sammy Michel. You see what I'm saying? With all the great brothers like him, Patrice Lumumba, all these great brothers, that some of these brothers did, Thomas Sankara. A lot of these brothers who did liberate their countries, but the majority of these countries were given independence. They were given permission to set up a government that did not totally separate from their oppressor or separate from their colonizer. This is what Nigeria is. Nigeria is a country that was given to Nnamdi Azikiwe and that neo-colonial government that was set up called Nigeria. This is facts. And I love Nnamdi Azikiwe, but Nnamdi Azikiwe made the biggest mistake in history by accepting British neo-colonialism, because that's what he did. He did not liberate those ethnic groups in Nigeria. No, he accepted a deal with the British Empire to create a country that forced other ethnic groups into a pseudo nationality and a pseudo country and government. Because the Nigerian nationality is not a real nationality. Just like African American. African American is not a real nationality for new African people in America. It's not a real nationality at all. It's pseudo. It's not real. It's a forced citizenship. And that's why a lot of people have a problem with Nnamdi Azikiwe. Nnamdi Azikiwe was, at one point, he was a part of the Biafran separatist government at one time. You can go look that up also. Nnamdi Azikiwe ran with the great General Ojukwu at one time to try to help liberate Biafra. You feel me? But Nnamdi Azikiwe fell for the biggest con trick in history. You cannot, listen people, listen. You cannot take ethnic groups. This is what people don't get. You cannot take different ethnic groups and force them to become citizens of something they were never a part of. You cannot do that. Biafrans, Igbo people are their own nation. Yoruba people are their own nation. Fulani Hassa are their own nation. You see what I'm saying? The central regions, the Delta regions, all these regions in Nigeria, these ethnic groups are their own nation and nationality of people. You cannot take a group of people who have always been separate from each other, had their own nations, their own tribes, and group them together. You cannot do that. You cannot do that, people. This is for my African brothers and sisters who don't get why Yoruba, Igbo people, all these people don't get along to a certain degree. This is why you must study the social phenomenon and the social engineering of how this country was set up to understand why these groups are in confrontation, why they don't get along. Because they were never together. They were never together, people. They have always lived separate from each other. They have their own traditions, which are similar. They have their own languages, which are similar. They have their own culture, spiritual system, and the way they govern themselves are all different ways of life. You cannot take people who've been living a certain way their whole life and just group them all together. You can't do that. That's just like what the white man did to us when they invaded Africa and took all those African ethnic groups out of Africa, right? Enslaved them, brought them to America, and threw them all on a plantation together. And then forced us to live amongst white people. We never lived amongst white people. Now you got black people, new Africans in America who was forced to live with white people. We never lived with white people. This is why white people are still killing blacks in America today, because we never lived together before slavery. Same thing that's going on in Nigeria. People who have never lived together are going to do what? This is what I call proximity colonialism. It's called proximity colonialism. Proximity violence. What is proximity violence? Proximity violence is people who live in an ecosystem, in a community that's forced together in a community that may never live amongst each other before. They start to kill each other. They turn on each other and commit violence on each other. This is why white people kill black people. This is why black people kill black people in America. Proximity colonialism. Proximity violence. People who have no business living together or beside each other is why these crimes take place, man. This is why the Fulani keep running into Southeast Nigeria and killing my Igbo family. This is why. You see what I'm saying? They have no business living with each other. Fulanis, Hausa people are Muslims. They believe in Islam. Islam people should not be under the same citizenship as another ethnic group who does not believe in Islam, who are not Muslims. Igbo people, now you got some who are, but I'm saying they should not be governed under the same country. That's idiotic. That's why I'm always telling people social engineering is real, y'all. White people are social engineering our genocides every day all across the globe. What you see in Nigeria is the example of social engineering and colonialism at its highest development. Neo-colonialism. Simple as that, man. Simple as that, man. Let me get into it. I know I'm talking long, but let me get into it, man. First of all, the first thing you need to know about Nigeria is what? The name Nigeria is a slave name. Let's just put that out on the board. Let me say that again. Nigeria is a slave name. It's a European name. It's a British England name contraption. Nigeria was not created by the indigenous people of that region. They did not decide on the name. That's the first violation of a people's human rights, is forcing the people into citizenship and giving them a pseudo nationality and a pseudo name. Igbo people are not Nigerians. Yoruba people are not Nigerians. Fulani, Hausa people are not Nigerians. Ibibio people are not Nigerians. Efik people are not Nigerians. All these ethnic, man, how many ethnic tribes are there in Nigeria? Over 300? Something like that. It's like 300 something ethnic groups in Nigeria. They are not Nigerians, man. Nigeria is named after a white woman. If you didn't see the post I made before I started this live, go look at the post before this and share it. Share the post so all the black brothers and sisters worldwide can see where Nigeria got its name from. Nigeria got its name from a white woman. And who is this white woman? What's the white woman name that Nigeria got its name from? Flora Shaw. Research that name. Flora Shaw, a.k.a. Lady Lugard. The Lugards created Nigeria. A husband and wife who were a part of the British elite oppressors. Sir Lugard, Lady Lugard. Go look that name up. They created this name Nigeria. Not the indigenous Africans in that land. They did not create the name Nigeria. Let me read this off to you real quick. Flora, remember this name, Flora Lewis Shaw was a British journalist and writer. She is credited with having coined the name Nigeria. Moving right into it. Naming Nigeria. In an essay which first appeared in the Times of London, January 8th, 1897, by Miss Shaw, Lady Lugard. She suggested the name Nigeria for the British protectorate on the Niger River. In her essay, Lady Shaw was making a case for a shorter term that would be used for the pagan and Mohammedan states that was functioning under the official title Royal Niger Company Territories. Let me say that again, because you have to get this point right here. Listen to how Listen to how the British Empire is in cahoots with the Mohammedan, which is the Fulani and the Hausa ethnic groups in Nigeria. They were already in cahoots. You see what I'm saying? They were already in cahoots. This is why you have seen more Islamic dictators as presidents of Nigeria than any other ethnic group, because they made a contract. They're in cahoots. The Islamic dictators are puppets of the British Empire. This is fact. This is all in the origin of Nigeria, people. Let me say that again. In her essay, Lady Shaw, aka Lady Lugard, was making a case for a shorter term that would be used, people, of pagan, and guess what they mean? Pagan. Pagan are talking about the other ethnic groups in Nigeria who are not Muslims, Christians, and Jews. They're talking about the indigenous Africans in that region who proclaim their indigenous culture and spiritual systems. Like you got most Igbo people who still practice Ominala, Odunani, and all the indigenous spiritual systems. They call them pagan, which is disrespectful. But check it out. Shaw was making a case for a shorter term that would be used for the pagans and the Mohammedan states that was functioning under the official title Royal Niger Company territories. She thought that the term Royal Niger Company territories was too long to be used as a name of a real estate property under the trading company in that part of Africa. So check it out now. Nigeria was supposed to be called the Royal Niger Company territories. And what does that mean? That is letting you know that Nigeria is not a country. Nigeria was not being set up as a country. Nigeria was being set up as what they call is what they call, like what America is, a corporation. Let me say that again. Nigeria was what Lady Shaw Lugard and what the Lugards in the British Empire was trying to set up in that region. That country was being, it still is, was being set up as a royal corporation. Nigeria is a corporation, not a country. This is why Nigeria and their political leaders and their political government, this is why they do not adhere to no laws. This is why they don't have true laws in Nigeria. This is why they can kill Igbo people and kill other ethnic groups in that country, because Nigeria is a corporation. The Nigeria army is set up to defend the corporation of Nigeria, not the citizens. Same thing with America. America is a British corporation. America is a corporation, not a country, people. This is why the police in America can kill blacks in America and not abide by no laws and not be held accountable. This is what you must realize, people. These countries are set up as corporations. Nigeria is a corporation. The United States of America is a corporation. You feel me? All these countries that so-called got independence across the globe are corporations, not true sovereign countries. This is why they murder their citizens and they don't abide to no laws, people. Corporations don't operate with laws. This is why the laws in Nigeria are garbage, trash laws. They are genocidal laws because the government don't enforce laws, because Nigeria is a corporation. Facts. It says it right here. The Royal Niger Company territories was supposed to be the name of that region. Royal Company. Company means corporation. You see what I'm saying? So they wasn't even trying to create Nigeria for real. They really was trying to create a corporation, but they disguised that corporation under the title Nigeria. This is why you're not a citizen of Nigeria. There's no such thing as a Nigerian. Simple as that, people. Just like there's no such thing as an African American. There's no such thing. We got to pull this illusion off our masks, man. Off our faces, man. We got to get out this colonized mind, man. Moving right along. Lady Lugard. Shaw was close to 3 men who most epitomized the empire in Africa. Cecil Rhodes, George Goldie, and Frederick Lugard. Remember those names. Write these names down, people. Write these 3 names down. Lady Lugard was close to the 3 men who most epitomized the empire in Africa. What is the empire in Africa? The European empires of Europe. The countries who came into Europe and colonized every African territory and set up borders, imaginary borders all across Africa, and forced all these Africans to live under colonial rule. The Empire of Africa, which is the British Empire. Listen to the 3 people she was close to. These are the most racist white people who invaded Africa. You know who Cecil Rhodes is. You see what I'm saying? She was close to Cecil Rhodes, George Goldie, and Frederick Lugard. Frederick Lugard. Moving right along. In 1905, Lady Lugard wrote that what remains the definitive history of Western Sudan and the modern settlement of northern Nigeria. There you go again. See the connection again? Who lives in northern Nigeria? The Islamic Empire of the Fulani Hausa people. Who lives in northern Nigeria, people? You see the connection again? Now you see why Fulani and Hausa are killing other ethnic groups and are not being held accountable. This is why Boko Haram, if you haven't been watching the news, Boko Haram is still killing other ethnic groups like Igbo people. They just did it the other day, people. Boko Haram just did it the other day. They attacked some more African brothers and sisters the other day in Nigeria. Boko Haram running amok again in Nigeria. Because look, they're under British Empire. They're puppets of the British Empire. It's telling you right here. All you got to do is look up Lady Lugard's history or Frederick Lugard's history to see what's going on in Nigeria. And let me say that again. In 1905, Lady Lugard wrote what remains the definitive history of Western Sudan and a modern settlement. It's telling you that these are settlements of the European empires and the European settlers. Definitive history of the Western Sudan and the modern settlement of northern Nigeria. A tropical dependency. An outline of the ancient history of the Western Sudan with an account of the modern settlement of northern Nigeria. While they lived in Hong Kong, she helped her husband, Frederick Lugard, establish the University of Hong Kong. Look at that. Now you see what's going on in Hong Kong. You see the Hong Kong people uprising, right? Because the Hong Kong people over there in Asia are being oppressed just like Biafrans being oppressed in Nigeria. Look at the connection to Hong Kong. The Frederick Lugards, the British Empire set up Hong Kong. Look at the information. This is why Malcolm X always told us, man, you must research history. Because if you research history, you will understand everything that's going on in the world. Research rewards its seekers. This is facts from the great Malcolm X. You see what I'm saying? If you research and read, you can never be a fool or be fooled by ignorant colonizers. You can never be fooled, people. This is why you must study history. If you don't know history, you will be a victim and you will be a slave of their history. You see what I'm saying? That they're making off of your enslavement. This is facts. There's a connection to Hong Kong. Now you see why Hong Kong people are uprising in the streets of Hong Kong. Hong Kong was created by the Lugards. It tells you right there. While they lived in Hong Kong, Lady Lugard and Frederick Lugard established the University of Hong Kong during the First World War. Good riddance. I'm not even going to read no more about her. So now, we have that established. We have that established that Nigeria, and I'm about to get to this other, hold on, let me get to this other thing I want to talk about real quick. Now, we have that established that Nigeria is a corporation created by the British Empire of Britain. It's not an African creation. So if you take anything from this video, people, understand that most African countries are European creations. They didn't even get to name their own countries, man. Like a lot of those names we think are African names, some of them are. Don't get it twisted. Some of the countries in Africa do have indigenous African names, but a lot of those countries were given those names by Europeans or their puppets. Their puppets came up with the names. So they didn't really get the names by a plebiscite or a referendum that lets the people choose the name of their own country. Just like us here in America, we never got the chance to choose who we are as our identity. We were forced to be African Americans. You see what I'm saying? It's all about this. All this is connected. I call it an international ecosystem of oppression. Because all African people globally, we all have the same oppression. We're all going through the same oppression in this material world. And we all have been duped and re-enslaved and recolonized by the same empire, which is the British royal family. This is facts. And we all have been given, listen to what I'm saying, we all have been given false pseudo-nationalities. African American, Nigerian are all European nationalities. This is facts. I don't care what nobody said. Can't nobody argue with me. That's what it is. Okay, before I get off this live, let me run this down real quick on why Nigeria is the example. Nigeria is the example of what went wrong with Africa. I call it B-Africa, as you all know. It's what went wrong with B-Africa. Nigeria is the example. And this theme is not just for Nigeria. This theme is for all, even Haiti. If you've not been watching what's going on in Haiti, Haiti is about to have a revolution now to get rid of the empire of the United States of America's puppet regime that's in Haiti right now. You see the Haitians. The Haitians are out in the streets looting, rioting, throwing revolution, attacking police officers because they're trying to overthrow the U.S. imperialist government in Haiti right now. But this is the example. Let's run down this real quick. The first example of what went wrong when Nigeria was created. And pay close attention, my people. Theme 1. It is difficult for outsiders to evaluate an area. When success looks inevitable to the theme, it is time to be cautious. Listen to it. You hear what that theme, you hear what it says, right? It is difficult for outsiders to evaluate an area. When success looks inevitable to the theme, it is time to be cautious. We must always be cautious when outsiders want to come in and try to evaluate the conditions of a people who live there indigenously, which is the Biafra, Igbo people, and other ethnic groups. How can outsiders evaluate their conditions and ways of life? This is what the British Empire did, people. This is what all colonizers do. They try to tell you that the way you live is wrong, or that your area is in bad conditions. But when they come in, they don't have good intentions to fix the area. They don't have good intentions to fix the area. When they created Nigeria, it wasn't to fix the problems of poverty, people. It wasn't to fix the conditions of the ethnic groups in Nigeria. Nigeria was not created for that. It was created to exploit the people and the conditions of those ethnic groups in Nigeria. Like how it takes place all across America. Theme number 2. A political, educational, economic structure imposed from the outside is likely to create problems unless it is a good fit to prevailing conditions. A long period of tutelage can make such imposed structures seem more natural, but they may still founder. Let me say that one more time. This is a key part you must understand. A political, educational, and economic structure imposed from the outside is likely to create problems. You see what I'm saying? Colonialism. Theme number 3 on why Nigeria is the example of what went wrong in Africa. Multi-ethnic, what I stated earlier, this is what I stated earlier. Listen to what I'm saying. Multi-ethnic and multilingual states need a strong set of countervailing forces to keep them together. In the best circumstances, these should include a decent economy with shares for all, a set of icons like glorious history of shared struggle, martyrs, wise men among the founding fathers, and recognized but hopefully the low level of external threats. Multi-ethnic and multilingual states being compounded together. If you notice when you go to Nigeria, right? When you go to Nigeria, right? There's 3 statues. There's 3 statues of 3 leaders that they have painted as the examples of leaderships from 3 multi-ethnic groups in Africa. One was a Yoruba, one was an Igbo, and I believe the third one is a Hausa. I can't think of the other 2 cats' name, but Nnamdi Azikiwe, I do believe, is one of those statues. If I'm wrong, Biafrans, correct me. But there are 3 statues in Nigeria that is set up in Nigeria to show that these are 3 ethnic groups that are supposed to be bunched together under some so-called fantasy fairy tale democracy. This is what's supposed to be the democracy of Nigeria. These 3 statues. These supposed to be 3 martyrs that's supposed to unify all ethnic groups in Nigeria. That the white man played against every ethnic group in Nigeria, and it did not help Nigeria. It made Nigeria worse. Because they gave these ethnic groups like the Igbo people and all these great ethnic groups false illusions of freedom with these 3 statues of 3 multi-ethnic groups, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, like they were unified, and they were not unified, and they should not have never been put together as a nation of people. They should have never been grouped together. Theme 4. The kinds of people who were the elite in colonial times may not be the right ones to run a country after independence, but they usually self-select themselves for that purpose. Let me say that this is all examples of what's going on in Africa and Nigeria. The kinds of people who were the elite in the colonial times may not be the right ones to run a country after independence, but they usually self-select themselves for that purpose. This is what happens in the Nigerian election every year. These are self-elected leaders of the British Empire and the Mohammedan Empire of northern Nigeria. For people who do not get it, British Empire, the Mohammedan Empire, the Fulani Hausa are self-selecting dictatorship and leaders to run the corporation of Nigeria. This is facts. Just like the leaders of the United States of America are self-selected by the ruling class of the United States of America and the British Empire. All 45 presidents of America were self-selected. This is something we must get over. The illusion of the electoral voting system. The voting system across the world are in our dictatorship systems. They are only created to keep re-electing and selecting their own leadership to control the citizens of those countries. Facts. Move right along. Countries put together by outsiders are often... hold on, that's the wrong one. Let me move down. Oh, no. Let me continue. Countries put together by outsiders are often not a good natural fit. There are likely to be strong regional conflicts. Regional conflict, incidentally, is quite common. Our Civil War, the separatist movements in Europe and the North-South split in China are 3 examples out of many. Theme number 6, being a favorite race of the former colonizing power. Ooh. Ooh. Woo. Woo. Man, this right here breaks it all down, man. I'm gonna post this link to this article and essay of, Nigeria is the example of what went wrong with Africa. I'm gonna post it when I finish this live, I'm gonna post a link to it and all y'all go read this. Being a favorite race of the former colonizing power is often not inevitable status once independence is achieved. Igbos in Nigeria and Sikhs in India are just 2 of the numerous cases that could be cited. The fact that such groups tend to be minorities increases their problems. Listen, man, who is the favorite race in Nigeria right now? Who's the favorite group in Nigeria right now? Fulani Hausa. Fulani Hausa are the favorite. This makes people like Igbos the minorities when they're not the minorities. We all know Igbos are the majority. But the way this oppressive shit is set up, it tends to switch it around. Dialectics. See, this is why we must study political dialectics of the material world. Because now look, when the British Empire comes into, colonizes these countries and create these pseudo countries, they always pick a favorite race that they can get in cahoots with and control to oppress the other ethnic groups. Just like in America, we got the black bourgeoisie blacks who are favored by the white man of the United States of America to oppress and control other blacks in America. This is why black people in America are still oppressed and still controlled by the United States of America, because we have rich bourgeoisie blacks who are in cahoots with the American government to keep us enslaved. Just like in Nigeria, they have their favorite race, which is the Fulani, who are there to control the other ethnic groups of Nigeria and keep them enslaved. The favorite race of the empires. They always choose a favorite race. The Fulani is the favorite race of the colonial empire of the British. Facts. Moving right along. This is the last one. Number 7, because it's 7. 7 themes. This is the last one. Discovery of wealth or a quick jump in prices of commodity may mean disaster rather than development. Iran, Mexico, Nigeria, all are still suffering from oil prices that rose bonanza from the 1970s. Let me say that again. The discovery of wealth, which we know the British discovered in Nigeria, their resources, the oil, all these things that they could exploit and benefit off, is the reason why the British Empire invaded that land and colonized that land and still colonizing that land, because of the wealth they keep discovering in particularly Biafra land. Southeastern Nigeria has all the oil. This is why they don't want Biafrans to get independence, because Biafra would take back their oil resources, their oil refineries. Biafra is the richest landmass in Nigeria because of oil, the resources. Imagine if Biafrans take back all their oil in Nigeria. Nigeria will cease to exist as a country, people. The British Empire control will cease to exist if Biafrans get their country and get their nationhood restored and take back their oil. Same with Iraq. Remember why the United States invaded Iraq? To take Saddam Hussein's oil. Remember why the United States invaded Libya? To take Gaddafi's oil. They don't want the righteous people to control the oil. Oil is what controls the economies of the world, people. Trading of the resources, the minerals, is what controls and dictates the world economy. This is why the British Empire and all these places are running the world, people. They're controlling the oil. If Biafra gets its oil back, there is no Nigeria. People, there's no Nigeria. The same reason why they want to invade Venezuela, the main reason why they tried to kill Hugo Chavez all those years, is they want Venezuela's oil. They want to control Venezuela's oil. They want Haiti's resources, people. They want Puerto Rico's resources, people. This is why all the oppressed people of the world are uprising. Because where these oppressed people be is where the resources that control the world are located. Think about it, New Africans. Think about it, black people in America. If we were to get with Biafra, we were to help Biafra liberates itself, restores its nationhood. You feel me? That's our brothers and sisters who can help us come back home and enjoy and to establish a relationship that can make us take over and kill the British Empire and kill colonialism in Africa. This is facts, man. Because now Africans, new Africans in America, now we have a source of resources once Biafra is free. The oil. Imagine new Africans. Imagine the Republic of New Africa and new Africans trading with Biafra for the oil. Our brothers and sisters looking out for us. You feel me? Helping us obtain the resources, the materials that can create our clothing, the food markets. Imagine if Biafrans take back their food markets and are controlling the economy of their food markets, oil, resources. Imagine what that benefits black people in America. Imagine that. Imagine us trading with our brothers and sisters in Biafra and Ghana. I can't leave Ghana out neither. Imagine us setting up an international trade that the white man cannot stop, that these white governments cannot stop. Because we have our own armies. We have our own social, political, economic trading system globally. Imagine new Africans and Biafra in a trade infrastructure that cannot be stopped. Black people in America and Biafra, come on, man. Do you see the liberation? That is true liberation, man. Who will stop blacks that live in America and Biafrans controlling oil? Controlling oil. All that oil in Biafra land. All that oil in Igbo land, people. Who can stop that? Who would be able to stop that? Nobody. Nobody, man. This is the whole reason of black liberation. This is why the black liberation movement came into existence, people. To free Africa. To free Biafra. So we can, listen to what I'm telling you, y'all, man. Listen to what I'm telling you. Black people in the African diaspora, South America, Caribbean islands, North America, Europe, all the Africans scattered all across this great earth, have never been able, listen to what I'm saying, have never been able to enjoy the fruits of what our brothers and sisters have created in Africa. We have never been able to enjoy the resources of what our brothers and sisters have in Africa. We have never benefited off the oil that's in these countries. We have not benefited off the resources, the food, I mean, the clothing industries, all the material that's made in Africa. You see what I'm saying? We have never been able to benefit from none of that. Imagine if we can benefit from that. I'm trying to set up the picture of what true liberation is, what true freedom is for black people globally. See, this is the thing y'all don't get. Biafra ain't just for the Biafrans who live in Nigeria. No, Biafra is for Africans globally. This is a global thing. This is a global nation. Biafra will be a global nation for all black people to come back to Africa, enjoy the fruits and labor that's now controlled by people who look like us, whose blood that pumps through our veins. Because we all know many of our ancestors, blacks in America, our ancestors, the majority of our ancestors came from Igbo land. This is facts. Especially if you live in Virginia. If you live in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, the majority of your ancestors came from Igbo land, man. They say out of every ancestor that was enslaved in America, black people has at least one Igbo ancestor in their bloodline. So this is why I'm claiming my blood lineage. Because I know there's an Igbo ancestor in my blood. It's in my bloodline. It's in my bloodline, people. This is why we must unite with these brothers and sisters and help free this country, man. Nigeria is a contraption. It's a disaster. It should have never been created. It should have never existed. Period. Nigeria should have never been created.
This on the web for
never been. It should have never been created. Never. And like many, and I'm not just talking about Nigeria. Many of those other countries in Africa should have never been created. Should have never been created because they're nothing but European. They're nothing but European colonies still, man. I hate to say that. I hate to say it because I know a lot of Africans in Africa enjoy their independence. You see what I'm saying? A lot of Africans in Africa really think they have an independent country. That's cool. That's cool to a certain degree. That's cool. But we know the true reality is that these countries are not totally independent. Not as long as Europeans are controlling the trade infrastructure. And not as long as Europeans have military bases in Africa. Not as long as Europeans are controlling the food market, controlling the oil market, controlling the clothing market. Man, you go to Nigeria now, Nigeria looks like the United States of America, man. I see so many European corporations in Nigeria. Man, they got McDonald's in Nigeria. Bruh, man, they got everything you see in America. All these restaurants you see in America, these clothing countries, these clothing companies that started in America, man, they all in Nigeria. That's why they call Nigeria the Western United States of America. I mean the Eastern United States of America. Because Nigeria is a complete replica of the United States of America so far. Or where it's starting to be, besides the culture. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, Nigeria has, you know, to somewhat of extent maintained their African culture. But as far as corporation and economic infrastructure, Nigeria is a complete copy of the United States of America. So you already know that's a no-go. That's a no-go. That's a no-go. Because that means the people who's doing all the labor, the people who's doing all the work in these corporations and these factories in Nigeria, guess what? They're not reaping the benefits. They're not getting the proper payment. They're not receiving the proper pay for their labor. They're struggling, just like we're struggling in America. Because why? We don't control the economic trade infrastructures. We don't control none of this stuff, man. And then it's sad because you got Negroes, you got neo-colonialist Negroes who look just like us, who's working for the white man to keep the white man rich. This is why black people can't get out of poverty all across the globe, man. This is why Nigeria has one of the deepest impoverished ethnic communities in the world. Go to Nigeria. Don't go to Lagos, though. Because you go to Lagos, you're going to get confused. Because once you go to Lagos, you're going to think you're living in a paradise. No, go to Igbo land. Go to some of these territories in Yoruba land. Go to some of these territories in the Delta. Go to some of these territories in the middle belt of Nigeria. Go see how they living. And then come back and tell me how they living. And if you say they living good, you's a damn liar. You's a straight liar. Just like I always like to tell Biafrans and people in Africa, stop believing everything you see on TV. Because if you come here to America, come see us, come see how we living. Come see how the majority of the 45 million new African blacks in America, come see how they living. And I guarantee you, you're going to be like, damn, this ain't no better than where I just left from in Nigeria. You come to America, you're going to see areas that look like areas in Nigeria. Facts. We have ghettos. We have projects that look just like ghettos and projects in Nigeria. So I just want us to understand each other's material world, material realm. It's not all cookies and creams in America, people. Just like it's not all cookies and creams in Nigeria. Black people are struggling everywhere they live. There's impoverished communities everywhere you go across the globe. So let's get out of this mentality that just because black people live in America, they living good. No, we not. People in America, black people in America are living from check to check. Just like the ethnic groups in Nigeria, you're living from check to check. We have homeless people. There's homeless black people in America who have no house, no shelter, no jobs. So stop believing everything Donald Trump perpetuates to y'all people, Biafrans. Stop believing Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a liar. Donald Trump has not fixed the economy for black people in America. It's a lie. Black people still are the #1 unemployed ethnic group in America. This is facts. The unemployment rate has not changed in America. The percentages have not changed. Donald Trump is a liar. The Israeli prime minister is a liar. He's a racist. Just like Donald Trump. They are racists. Because if you go to Israel, and it's the one thing I want a lot of Jewish Biafrans to understand. I want you to take a trip to Israel. And then you come back to social media. Come back to Facebook and tell us how are the blacks in Israel living. I want you to go to Israel and show me how the black people in Israel are living. Black people in Israel are getting murdered by white police officers every day in Israel. Black Americans are getting murdered by police every day in the United States of America. This is facts. Stop denying your material realm. Black people are being murdered by Israelis and Americans every day. Black people that look just like you being murdered every day and oppressed every day by these white governments. Facts. So let's stop acting like this stuff ain't going on, man. Everybody is going through oppression. It's an international oppression on black people. Facts. Pure facts. Let me look at some of these comments real quick, see what's going on. One love to Barcelona. I see you, Barcelona, Spain. One love. I love you all. One love. So, I just want to, bring us all together mentally. We have to get on the same, we got to get on the same conscious tip mentally. And what I mean by conscious ain't no pseudo shit. I'm talking about politically, educationally, culturally, but socially, economically, but foremost politically. Politically it just means understanding our material realm, our material struggle. We have to understand that there are oppressed people everywhere. And before I get up, I'm not telling you what to do far as your strategy to get free. This is not what I'm telling Biafrans. I'm not telling my Biafran brothers and sisters how to use strategies to get free. Every strategy is in play when you are oppressed people. Let's get that straight. Every strategy on the chessboard is in play. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not going against that. What I'm going against is that we must have a network like the Underground Railroad. If you see my Underground Railroad video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out and see because the Harriet Tubman new movie is coming out, and I suggest all y'all go see that Harriet Tubman movie. But the Underground Railroad, what was that? The Underground Railroad was a secret network. It was a network. It wasn't literally, a railroad train type of thing that was going on where they were just hopping on trains and using the railroad. No, the Underground Railroad means we're going underground. Meaning we're taking our telecommunications and our communications underground. so that we can all be on the same conscious frequency together. But we all using strategies. We can use any strategy that we want in play to get liberated. But what I'm saying is, when we're talking amongst each other's, New Africans, Biafrans, when we're talking amongst each other, we must be on the same frequency. Far as our enemies, you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm going to just use one example before I get off this live. I know Biafrans are trying to use the United States of America and Israel as a strategy to get Biafra restored. I'm not going against that. That's a strategy. What I'm saying is that you can use that strategy, but understand that the United States of America is oppressing your brothers and sisters. The United States of America is murdering your brothers and sisters. So let's not try to ignore, don't ignore what's happening to your brothers and sisters in America who are being murdered by police every day. This is what I mean by the Underground Railroad network. We still have to network to be on the same frequency to understand our realities, so our realities won't be in confusion. Understand that the United States of America is still your enemy because it's the white man. You see what I'm saying? They are oppressing your people, your brothers and sisters, every day. You feel me? Just like I know the Nigerian government is oppressing y'all and killing y'all every day. I understand that. That means we're on the same page politically, you see what I'm saying, and socially, but we must maintain this Underground Railroad network so we can be on the same frequency and you know, eliminate all the confusion, because it's a lot of confusion. So when you hear me saying that, okay, if you hear me, just because I don't like Israel, just because I don't like America, you feel me? I have my reasons because of my ancestors on why I don't like them. My ancestors that was enslaved on plantations in America. I have my reason on why I don't like these countries. And I don't like these certain people that did that to my ancestors. That's my right. That's my human right not to like them. I love my ancestors more. What happened to them, I must honor and be loyal to. But I'm not telling you not to use those strategies. But on this underground network, we got to be on the same frequency. Period. Got to be on this. If we want to liberate each other, we have to be on the same frequency. Period. That's all I'm saying, y'all. That's all I'm saying, man. I hate to cut this live off, man, because this is a good topic. Excuse me. Now, all my brothers and sisters, I hope that a lot of my brothers and sisters in America, the Caribbean islands, the diaspora, I hope y'all now understand why it's not a great thing to celebrate Nigerian independence. I hope this was a good video and I broke it down the best that I could to why you shouldn't celebrate Nigerian independence. The same reason African brothers and sisters worldwide do not celebrate the independence of America. Please don't celebrate it. Because your ancestors, my ancestors, were slaves. They did not enjoy the fruits and labor of the independence of America. This is why we don't celebrate the July 4th. July 4th is not to be celebrated. Black people. Nigerian independence is not to be celebrated. Black people. So now we have a clear understanding with each other. Don't celebrate these Independence Days, because these Independence Days came with a whole lot of fuckery. Because these people are not free. Biafrans are not free. New Africans in America are not free. So now we're on the same page. And I love you all. I'm going to get off this live now. Peace to you all, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. What I got coming up? Hey, all my Biafran brothers and sisters, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Because my next video is going to be a dope video. And it's about this great freedom fighter that came out of Igbo land, man. My next video is coming. I don't even want to give away the topic. I don't even want to name. You probably already know who I'm talking about, but I'm not even going to get a name out. But my next video is going to be so dope for y'all, man. And it's coming straight out of Igbo land. And it's about a great freedom fighter that I have to teach my brothers and sisters in America about, and that I want everybody in the African diaspora to know about. Man, this video going to be so dope. I've been meaning to do it for like a couple of years now, but now I'm going to go ahead and knock it out. I'm going to go ahead and knock it out, and I'm going to upload it to this page. And please, Biafran brothers and sisters, please share this page, this like page. This is a community page. This page is dedicated to Biafra and the New Africans, bringing us together. So I'm gonna be, you know how I do it. I'm gonna be bringing information from both worlds, from Igbo land to New African land, your ancestors in America and what your ancestors was doing in America. This page is dedicated to Biafra and New Africa. That's all I'm gonna be dropping on this page, because my personal page is going to be a lot towards a lot of work that I'm doing with our political prisoners. And also do y'all research on political prisoners. Biafrans have political prisoners. New Africans have political prisoners. Do your research on Mutulu Shakur. Do your research on H. Rap Brown. Because this, oh yeah, let me get this in before I get off here. October is the month of the Black Panther Party. This is when the Black Panther Party came into existence. If you don't, if any of my Biafran brothers and sisters don't know who the Black Panther Party is, please do your research on the Black Panther Party. So then now you will understand where I come from. Because this is where I come from. You feel me? Descendants of the Black Panther Party. Carrying on the torch of the Black Panther Party and the Black liberation movement of the black people in America. This is the month for the Black Panther Party. So I'm going to be dropping a lot of information about the Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army, Republic of New Africa, because this is the month that we honor our freedom fighters. Just like y'all honor y'all freedom fighters in Biafra, October is the month of our freedom fighters of the Black Panther Party. And a lot of our Black Panther Party members are still incarcerated from the struggle of the 1960s, of the revolution of the 1960s. I want y'all to get in tune with our freedom fighters. And yeah, man, try to hook up with me. I want somebody to hook up with me so we can try to put something together to help free our political prisoners. I want Nnamdi Kanu, man, if anybody can get in contact with Nnamdi Kanu, man, get me in contact with Nnamdi Kanu. I want to stand in solidarity so he can help bring some of our political prisoners home. I want him to get familiar with Mutulu Shakur. We need to bring Mutulu Shakur home. We need your help, Biafrans, to bring our political prisoners home. Because if we can get an international voice, if we can get an international backing from Biafra to bring our political prisoners home, man, that would be one of the most powerfulest international victories ever, man. That's a victory. If Biafra can help bring Mutulu Shakur home, that is a victory for black people. You feel me? So I want y'all to get in tune with our political prisoners. You get me in tune with y'all political prisoners, and let's start advocating for each other's political prisoners, man. We need to bring our political prisoners home. Because check it out. The United States of America will have you believe that no political prisoners exist. Biafrans, we have political prisoners who fought for the same struggle to free Africa. Mutulu Shakur helped liberate Zimbabwe. Mutulu Shakur was a comrade of the ZANU in Zimbabwe. This is a Pan-Africanist brother, elder, family member. So I need y'all help, man. Somebody get in contact with Nnamdi Kanu and tell him to free Mutulu Shakur. Do that for me. If y'all can do that, it's all love, man. I'm going to get off this live, man. I'm going to shut this live off, man. Power to those who don't feel freedom. Power to those who stand in solidarity with African independence, liberation, and sovereignty, man. I'm going to sign off on this note, man. Free the land by any means necessary. God bless you, man. God bless y'all, brothers and sisters. I love you all. And don't celebrate Nigerian independence. I'm out.